I'm Brigadier General retired Roy Robinson. I'm currently the president of the National Guard Association of the United States, and couldn't be prouder of the efforts of the men and women of the National Guard throughout the last few months with all the responses that have been asked of them and the continuing response throughout the 54 states, territories, and the District of Columbia. We've continued to work. We haven't stopped. We've had some issues we've had to deal with, mostly on your behalf. When we saw that there was going to be a significant COVID-19 Guard response, we immediately got in the business of trying to educate members of Congress and their staff and some of the other thought leaders in Washington, D.C. on the intricacies of Title 32 and why it's so important that with that size of a response that we're able to use the federal dollars to pay for the response while allowing the command and control of the governors within each of the states and the territories. They were the ones on the ground. They were closest to the issues, and it was important that they maintain that command and control of the forces within the states. Initially, we had a little problem coming out of the gate with the orders. They were limited at 30 days, which is obviously doesn't qualify those members who were mobilized for TRICARE. And we, at that point, went in and through the press and the Congress, we tried to reinforce the issue with a 30-day order not qualifying members for health care. Shortly after that, there was a response to it. Orders were extended to 31 days, and we were able to make sure that all of the soldiers who were mobilized in support of the pandemic had some health care insurance as they responded. Shortly thereafter, we had another issue with kind of a hard stop date on June 24th. We were very concerned that there were, from the soldiers that had been mobilized and involved in the response to the pandemic since the initial stages, were coming up on a 90-day window that would qualify them for certain educational benefits and early retirement credit. We made an issue of it very quickly that the hard stop at June 24th was 89 days, 1 day shy of what the initial elements of the mobilization would need to qualify for those expanded benefits. I'm happy to report, as most of you know, that the President chose to extend those orders, and those soldiers and airmen who have been mobilized in the pandemic response will be receiving those benefits as they so well deserve, without question. I have to say there's one continuing issue that we're working very diligently at it. Soldiers and airmen who are mobilized and deployed overseas upon their return to the states and their demobilization, they get 6 months of health care coverage. Because the pandemic response was here in the United States, they were not deployed, they don't qualify for that, and we've worked with Congress and with the administration to make sure that everyone's aware of that is a shortfall and that these soldiers and airmen need the benefit of some type of medical coverage as they come off of the mobilization, just because we don't know what the lingering effects of their exposure to the coronavirus will be. And I'm proud to say that currently there's legislation both in the Senate and the House that supports extending that 6 month medical coverage to these soldiers and airmen as they come off of the coronavirus response. And I'm proud to say that we're on the front end of that. We're hopeful that we're going to be successful. There'll be more to come. I encourage you to stay close and pay attention. I'm very grateful and thankful for your support from the company formations all the way up to the adjutant generals throughout the 54. NGAUS is here. We're working very hard. I have to tell you, like a lot of other organizations in Washington, D.C., it's been a especially tough year. And I ask you, if you're watching kind of what we're doing and the things that we're trying to affect on your behalf, I ask you to make sure that your membership is current. Please go out and renew your membership. We need your participation. We need your support. It's important here in Washington, D.C. that we continue to have good membership that we represent over on the Hill to achieve some of the goals and the specific tasks that we're trying to achieve on behalf of the members of the National Guard. thank you for what you're doing. I couldn't be prouder. I'm very proud to be a former uniform wearer in the National Guard, a retired member of the National Guard, and currently serving as your president here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for all the efforts and the efforts of the families and the employers and all the leadership that are making very tough decisions across the country. Just continue to fight, continue the mission, and again, I say thank you for your support and hopefully your continued support in the years to come.